Welcome back to another episode of the End of Time podcast. This is not, this is somewhat a podcast. This is different. It's very different to what we've done before.
Just a little discussion.
Bringing
the living room banter into the studio.
Absolutely. And we're going to be talking about the local elections, which happened yesterday. And the results are piling in right now. And I got Harry here. Say hello to people, Harry.
Hi, guys. I'm Harry.
We're going to be talking through the election results. What does it mean? What does it mean for the Conservatives? Have they done well? Have Labour done well? That's what we're going to be covering here today. So we'll just get right into it.
Yeah, let's go.
Conservatives, electoral disaster or a masterclass of diplomacy by Rishi Sunak?
I think disaster is an understatement, to say the least, looking at the current results. I mean, trailing 500 councillors behind Labour and only 40 ahead of Lib Dems. So
that's... The Lib Dems are catching up.
It's dire.
It's dire. A dire situation.
100%.
So what the actual results right now, as of recording, Labour have 754 councillors.
Oh, I've got 809 here.
Oh, never mind. It's changed already.
809 to 304.
304. What's the increases?
131 to Labour and minus 304 to Conservatives. So it's not looking great.
It's not looking great at all, especially if you go back through last year's election results.
It's
not. I mean, they did badly last year.
I mean, it's just gone rapidly downhill. But I mean, I don't think it's any secret why. I mean, you look at
why is it? Why have they done so badly?
Well, let's have a look at Rishi Sunak's track record. I mean, he is currently public enemy number one. I mean, and he's following some pretty disastrous prime ministers, so it must be saying something.
I mean, we'll try to be as balanced as possible on this show.
No, not me.
But Rishi says he's stopping the boats. He's stabilised inflation back. He's halved inflation.
Yeah.
And the cost of living crisis is supposedly over. But why are people still so angry with him?
Because by the looks of it,
they're
all lies.
Is it directed at Rishi Sunak as a prime minister or the Conservatives as a whole?
Conservatives as a whole, and Rishi Sunak is the figurehead. Rishi is the man in charge. He's the one who's going to take the flak mostly. But I don't think he's had a minor role to play in it.
No.
He is a big reason of why the party as a whole is seen as such a sinking ship, as it were.
A useless...
He likes to keep it impartial. The useless bastards.
The useless bastards. No.
Yeah.
I mean, how has Labour done? Has Labour actually proposed something new and exciting for the country, or is it just a reaction, a anti-Tory vote, like a protest vote?
I think it's a bit of both. It definitely is an anything but Tory vote, in my opinion. I think there's a very public opinion that they'd happily leave Tories, regardless of whether they're remaining conservative ideologically. I do think that Keir Starmer also does very nicely fit the mould of a red Tory, as it were, a new Labour candidate, which is very attractive. A man in a suit, used to be a lawyer. It seems like he's got integrity in the public eye, so I think that is a massive help as well. In terms of policies, I mean, there's been a lot of U-turning from Starmer as well. Mm-hmm. But the media seems to be backing him. I think that's a big
a win?
Yeah.
It's a win,
right?
Yeah,
that's a huge swing for Starmer.
Is there any resemblance from Keir Starmer to Tony Blair? Because remember, John Major, he's in a pretty similar... It's a very similar situation to Rishi Sunak, right? In the sense that he's been in power for a long time.
Well, Sunak hasn't.
I mean, the Conservatives have been in power for a very long time. And then you have the Labour Party of Tony Blair upcoming, projected to win the election.
Yeah.
Is there any similarity? Do you see Keir Starmer as being a good prime minister? A potential prime minister?
You know, I worry. I worry he is just wolf in sheep's clothing. He is...
Ooh.
Yeah, he's... I mean, he's very much a career politician. I think he's played the game very well, and he's got to where he is based off of his entire persona. And I think he does have a lot of similarities to Blair in that sense. He's a middle ground man. He's a people pleaser. You know, both sides of the spectrum are looking at him and thinking there's something in it for all of us. And with that, you often lose, in my opinion, the heart of what Labour is meant to be, but you gain a mandate. So it's the trade-off of, do you stick with your socialist roots, or do you go for a more agreeable middle ground and risk losing your grassroots?
I mean, he was the shadow Brexit secretary for Jeremy Corbyn.
He was.
So,
and look what happened to Corbyn. I don't think that's any coincidence that Corbyn is now out of the party and Keir Starmer was working his way up. I think if we're going down that route, then Keir Starmer played a huge part in the dismantling of Jeremy Corbyn's leadership.
I think it's a very valid point. I mean, he's not even in the Labour Party at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you look at a lot of the reason that Jeremy Corbyn wasn't voted, despite the slander from the media. Let's put that aside. But coming down to actual political policies, one of the most slated policies of Corbyn's was his Brexit policy. And guess who was in charge of that? Who was the
Keir
shadow
Starmer.
Brexit? Yeah, exactly. So was that intentional? Did he decide to go for the worst possible Brexit stance for Corbyn, just so he could get his go, or was that genuinely what he believed the best thing was? I mean,
it's all up in the air now. We don't know these.
Yeah,
we don't know the answers to these questions. All we do know is that Labour is doing really well for whatever particular reason.
Yeah.
I mean, is it a protest vote? What's the updated stuff now?
They've gone up to 826 from 809, and that's 80 out of the 107 councils.
Yeah, so let's just say it's a resounding Labour win.
100%. There's no doubt about it.
I don't know how the Tories are going to play this around as some sort of victory or some sort of... What's the positive?
Well,
is there any positives for the Conservatives in this race?
It's their mayoral win, isn't it? They've maintained... What seat was it? I can't remember.
I think it was Teesside Valley.
Teesside Valley. So they've kept hold of Teesside, and I all the headlines that I'm seeing is Rishi Sunak praises Teesside win, but is disappointed with the rest of the losses. But that's what they're holding on to, is the Teesside mayor. Which they can have, that's fine. You know,
that's for them.
Yeah, whatever makes you happy.
But also remember the Teesside Valley mayor, I forgot his name, but he's not officially a Tory member.
No.
Remember, he got kicked out. Kicked out, so he's
what...
standing as an independent.
I see.
But Rishi Sunak still is proclaiming this as a Conservative victory. So it's quite an interesting dynamic which is going on in Teesside Valley.
I mean, I think if anything, that's a testament to the classic delusion that we've been seeing for the last 2 decades almost.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a pretty strong indictment.
Bold statement. Yeah,
it's a bold statement.
I'll stand by it.
I mean, the Conservatives are losing seats and police and crime commissioners left, right and centre.
100%.
And, I mean, just to call out a previous guest of ours, Giles Orphan-Schmiede.
Oh, do you reckon you had a part to play in his demise?
I hope not.
Yeah. Never want to ruin a man's career, but if it happens, I guess
it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But I mean he's just lost at Norfolk. Norfolk is a predominantly Conservative area.
Oh, 100%. It always has been.
And you don't expect an election for the whole county to swing to Labour.
Especially for police and crime commissioner. I think, in terms of conservatism, social conservatism is huge in Norfolk. It's a backwards county. It's not, but there's,
That's Harry's opinion.
That is my opinion. Let me just make it very clear. These are all my opinions, not that. There we are. Yeah, that works. But I think to see such a big swing to Labour in a county that is traditionally Conservative is again another huge indicator. Not that there aren't hundreds of big indicators in favour of Labour already, but it's just another one to point out. I mean, it probably didn't help with the news a few months ago about the family of 4 in Cossey. I think that probably went against him. There's a number of reasons, but I think overall, again, we're just seeing a big shift in public opinion towards Labour. Absolutely.
And it probably doesn't help that some Conservative MPs, including Boris Johnson, former Prime Minister, and forgetting their ID.
Let's get into that.
To go vote in the local elections. So, to bring it back, the Elections Act of 2022 required that every single person that goes to vote at any order of election needed to produce some form of photo ID.
Well, not just any form; it had to be valid. Did you see that about the war veteran?
Yeah.
That's apparently a legitimate form of ID now, but it wasn't accepted.
Yeah. So Boris Johnson and this other elected Tory MP went to cast their vote at the election, and then realised, oh, I didn't bring my photo ID with me.
Yeah. I mean, easy mistake to make, right, Boris? It's not as if it's any small deal.
And a piece of legislation that you implemented.
There we are. I mean, it's again, is that on brand? I think it is.
It probably did not help anybody, any Tory in the polls, saying that they can't even follow their own laws that they put in place themselves.
Well, yeah. I mean, we all know that, don't we?
Party game.
Yeah. Boogieing away. But that's just them, isn't it? That's Boris. That's
That
Boris
is
for you.
And do you think the general public's anger towards Boris has any impact on how Labour's doing so well?
I think he kickstarted the avalanche that is the downfall of the Tories. I mean, he had avid supporters, people who would defend him. Is a Trump quote to be, "I could stab a man and no one
Get
went,
away
and
with
I'd
it."
never lose votes." And Boris never said that, but he certainly acted like it. And eventually he pushed it too far. I think he lost his premiership, and it was because of his consistent, not just mistakes, I would say.
Lies.
Yeah, they weren't. There was. I don't think there was any implication of good intention whatsoever. It was a self-serving government. It still is, and I think he kickstarted that.
He kickstarted the downfall of the Tories.
100%.
He simultaneously created a major platform, a major majority for the Tories back in 2019.
100%.
And also single-handedly took it down.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. I mean, it was Icarus, really, wasn't it? He was charismatic. He was really bringing a new lease of life to politics after what we've been seeing, and you can't deny that. The man was a great campaigner.
He was.
He was relatable. People loved him for who he was, and he built his own little
empire. Honestly.
Yeah. And then knocked it down. He got too cocky. He got too big for his boots.
Have you seen this thing about Boris Johnson? I didn't really think this podcast was going to go towards Boris Johnson, but did you see that before he goes onto interviews with the media, you always see his hair a bit scruffy.
Yeah, he fluffs it. Doesn't he
purposely goes up and just fluffs it all around to make him seem more relatable. Because you always see these politicians just like gelled up, very very sophisticated, ready to go, ready to take on the world. But then it's not exactly very relatable, I would say.
I mean, it's interesting that you say that, because he makes himself look scruffy to be relatable. And then, what did he say about Jeremy Corbyn? He looks like a mugwump. Shouldn't be in Parliament without a tie. And is that not a similar sort of style?
I mean, a little bit.
A people's politician, and he's attacked one man for it, and then followed the
advice.
Same suit. Yeah. So it's another case of Tory hypocrisy.
I mean, a little bit. I mean, they've been in power for way, way too long at this point.
Way too long.
I think whatever you think about the Tories, you can't say they've acted in the most decent and the most impartial way possible. You can't say they have. There are some things that they're probably hard decisions they had to make. COVID probably did not help.
No, for sure. But then Partygate didn't help.
Partygate did not help.
They didn't make good. It was a tough time for anyone to be in charge, but
it didn't help themselves.
Was easy. Yeah, it was easy for them to at least have some dignity throughout it, but they didn't.
There's another big party just to mention in this. Reform UK.
Yes.
They came third in the Blackpool South by-election.
They did.
Claiming 16.9% of the total vote. Just behind the Conservatives, with Labour taking it pretty easily.
Yeah.
But still, what does this say? Reform UK, the former Brexit party, now coming up and actually making an impact in traditional politics, overtaking the Lib Dems, overtaking the Greens.
Do you think they're making an impact? Does the one by-election result, them coming third, indicate an impact?
I mean, it's the biggest change in a vote, in a whole kind of vote direction in a lifetime, because you have Labour, Conservative, Lib Dem, and Greens for the past decade. You had them for about 100 years now.
Yeah, for sure.
But now Reform UK coming out of absolute nowhere and causing havoc. They have one MP in Parliament, remember?
They do, right, okay. I see what you're saying. They are a new party, but are they? You can polish a turd, but it's now just a shiny turd, right? Reform UK is Nigel Farage's big face plastered everywhere once again. So he's got the following. Nigel
Farage is technically not even a member of Reform UK.
Oh, well, he loves it. He's campaigning for it, regardless. Yeah. But, okay, third in the by-election. Look at the local election results. 0 councils, 0 councillors.
True.
That's what I'm saying. It's just a shiny turd, man.
It's just a shiny turd?
It is. That's what it is, in my opinion.
You don't see them attacking traditional, like the blue wall or the red wall up in the north, taking some votes away from the Conservatives? I
think that's their intention, for sure. I think it's seen through quite easily.
Mm-hmm.
They've been campaigning hard.
They have.
They've been, like you say, they're new. They've got some people are aware of them. People know about Reform UK. It's not as if they're just they are up and coming, but it's not as if they're completely unheard of. So I think for their status at least, their performance has been quite poor. I was expecting at least a councillor.
Wow.
Yeah, I would say so.
Wow. That's I mean, I guess they weren't entirely. I don't know if they're entirely focused on the local elections.
No, I guess not.
They probably don't have the following of the people to do it. Yeah,
You know, they're a small party as well, so they probably don't have the coverage that they would have liked coming up to this election. But
do you think this is a good stepping stone for them to go into the general election? Coming third in a...
Sure. I mean, I guess if you're looking at it like that, I mean, what was the constituency? Do you know?
I think in Blackpool South.
Yeah, I mean...
It's a northern seat.
Yeah. So it could be a case that, because there's only one by-election, or, you know, very few at the moment, it could be a case that if you start with a general election, they've obviously got much more candidates running. You could see some reform seats, but I don't think, if any, there will be many.
Interesting.
I don't think so. I think, again, it's still a two-party race. Well, three-party race by the looks of it. Lib Dems are comfortably back in, you know, seven councils to Conservatives 5. So
I think that's definitely...
That says it all, doesn't it?
It's a big win for the Lib Dems.
That's crazy.
And I think, we'll put this to a close. But there's one thing I do want to mention.
Go on.
There's a final episode of Gavin and Stacey coming out.
There is. There is. How exciting.
Never watched the thing.
I know. What about the public opinion of James Corden? Do you reckon that's going to affect
go
us?
there.
Yeah. I mean, Gavin and Stacey is a classic. I don't think even James could butcher that, but
who knows?
Who knows? I guess we'll see. Christmas, right?
I mean, if I'm going to put money on something,
we're going to finally find out what happened on the fishing trip.
Exactly.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. Yeah, man. That should be exciting.
Just to sum it up, Labour's had a good day.
Very good day.
Conservatives have an absolute disaster.
But they won Tees Valley. So.
They won Tees Valley. Who's not even Conservative, but okay.
Yeah.
Lib Dems, Independents have done really well.
Yeah, Independents have done well.
Smashed it across the country. Plus 80.
The second biggest swing after Labour.
More Independents after Greens.
Yeah. But I mean, that's it. It's anyone but Tory vote. I think that's what it shows. It's not necessarily a Labour win, but it's definitely a Conservative loss.
Yes, that's
100%.
That's one certainty that we can get from this election.
Yeah,
and we're still awaiting to hear the London mayor result. That's going to be released tomorrow. I'm aware, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a comfortable
Sadiq
for a comfortable.
ULEZ?
ULEZ is definitely.
There's been a couple of things he's been sort of.
I agree, but I don't think it's enough. Susan Hall, or whatever her name is useless.
Conservatives have done enough damage that even ULEZ isn't deterring anyone.
I don't think it's going to be deterring anybody.
No, fair enough.
I think Sadiq Khan is probably going to have a smaller majority than last time, but he's still going to be Mayor of London. That's my prediction.
You heard it here, folks.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Well,
Sadiq to win.
You're probably hearing this after the election, but it's okay.
Yeah. We'll see if the prediction was real. And if not, then we'll just edit in another version where you correctly predict it.
Exactly.
Perfect.
All right. Cheers, guys. Thanks for listening. Let us know in the comments if you actually enjoyed this style of political commentary.
Little chit-chat.
Yeah.
Light-hearted.
Reform UK. Tees Valley.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not?
Cool.
All right. See you guys in a bit.
Ciao.
Subscribe.